Happy Friday, artists. Welcome back. It's time for another project. So today we are going to do, this is a final project, okay? So I'm gonna give you a quick lowdown of the project. Here we go. It's basically shapes in space. So we have done this project in a few variations. So this shouldn't be too distressing for any of you who have been doing the work. If you haven't been doing the work, you may want to go back and check some of the last few projects, maybe the last 5, 6, spot check, see something that you haven't done. There's a lot of really good information about how to do this perspective work. I didn't really give you any explanations for a lot of things here because hopefully you've been following along, and I know a lot of you have, so that's the plus. If you haven't, do your best. This is a final drawing, so this is a drawing you're going to hand in to me or to your teacher. So let me give you a little lowdown on how that's going to go. The project that you complete for all of the perspective work that we've done is going to be your final grade for that entire unit. So you may have done a lot of other work. I will be in communication with your teacher, but you are going to need to hand this particular project in for your teacher. And you're going to need to hand it in to your teacher. So I'm providing your teacher with the rubric and all of the things that you need to make this a really successful drawing. Okay, and the things that you're going to need for this to be successful, you're going to have 5 shapes, okay? In my picture, I have 7, so you don't have to do all of these shapes, obviously. You can pick and choose. You don't have to do any of these shapes. You could do all triangles, you could do all squares, you could do all circles, you could do whatever you want. This is just a variety for you. They will need to be colored. So I used colored pencils, and you're going to want to probably use colored pencils because I don't know that this could necessarily be achieved in such a tidy way without, with something like watercolor or Cray-Pos. I think that might be harder. So preferably colored pencils. I would accept just graphite shading. That would be fine also. And you are going to need to make these shapes 3-dimensional. So you have to have 5 items floating in space. They could also be floating above the ground. Remember in one that we did before, we did have a horizon line and you could see the shadows of all of these shapes sort of on the ground. And that was kind of fun. You could do that again here. That would be fine. But they do need to sort of be floating in space so the shadows can't touch any of the shapes. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, I think at least for most of them, this should be fine. But if you're going to sort of copy that one project we did near the beginning, this is your sort of second at bat with this. It's got more shapes. They're colored, and we're not really worrying so much about their shadows on the ground, although you can do that, like I said. So the 3 things that we're really worried about are your colored pencil. Are they colored in? Are they 3-dimensional? And did you use at least 5 of them? So those 3 things are what your teacher is going to be grading you on. They're going to see my exemplar, and they're also going to see how to grade them. If, however, you really want them to come to me, just like always, in all my videos, you can send your photos directly to me right here. There's one caveat, one warning. If you send them directly to me, you're going to want to make sure that you get a response back from me. I will give you a response back. It will have a grade, and I will let you know that I also contacted your teacher. If you don't get those things back from me within about a week, I would send it to me again, or at least send me another email. And the reason being, because we have a very safe email here at St. Romans, and sometimes things don't get right into my inbox. So I have to go looking around for them. If it doesn't get into my inbox, I will be looking, I will be checking for these things, but just in case, to make sure that nothing got missed, do email me again, follow up with that first email. So if you want it to be graded directly from me, I will send an email to your teacher and I will let them know that you have handed this in to me. Also, though, try to make sure to let them know that you did do this. So that should be just about all you need to know about this project. Submit it to your teacher, submit it to me. You have the choice. They will have the rubric. I know how to grade it. And I will send that information back to your teacher. Again, if you don't hear from me, you will what? You'll follow up, okay? You will email me again. So let's get started. This is art. We anticipate mistakes, we respect the creative process, and we try until we're satisfied. So this one takes a little bit of trying. We're doing, a lot of the old, I use the colored pencil shavings technique, which we haven't used for a while. So the materials I needed for today are a little bit more. I needed a piece of paper, obviously. I did also need my straight edge. Okay, this is just, do I have to do this again? This is just a piece of paper folded up in half and in half again so that I have a nice, really firm straight edge that I can draw all of my lines against. I needed a variety of colored pencils. Now, if you only have 2 colored pencils, if you only have 1 colored pencil, it's fine. You could manage it with just 1 colored pencil. You could manage it with just blues and purples if those are your colors, or you could just do reds, orange, and yellows. And they could all be the same shape. I did use a variety of rainbow colors because I wanted you to see how all of them looked. So this is nothing to say that you have to do them these colors. Please choose your own and please be creative. You need a graphite pencil, one that'll erase easily. This is not just the one with the eraser, but this is a plain HB pencil. And I needed an eraser. So I needed an eraser to erase all those extra lines that you end up drawing. Now, because I did the colored pencil shaving technique, I also used a little bit of paper towel. Actually, this is how much I used. Right there, you can see where I ripped it off. This is how much I used in my exemplar. So I will just, when we draw, I'm just going to rip a teeny tiny piece out, and we're just going to use that to rub those pencil shavings in. Okay? Ready? Let's go.
Okay, so I'm going to start by putting my vanishing point, right? That's the point that all of my things, all of my lines are going to go to. I'm going to put it somewhere sort of near the middle. I don't know, maybe I'm going to put it a little bit off center, maybe a little bit higher. It's not really off center. You could probably put it up here. You could probably put it down here. That wouldn't matter all that much. But from here, I'm going to kind of draw around, I'm going to draw my shapes all around that. So I'm just going to try, these don't have to be perfectly geometric shapes, right? They don't have to be perfect. You'll hear me say this millions of times. So yep, one square-ish thing. And just like the other shape projects we've done, I'm going to try to vary actually, maybe I'll even do this a little bit differently so that I can try to get another side in there. You're not going to, what I'm doing right now isn't going to affect, wouldn't be too noticeable. You might not be able to notice what I just did, but I wanted to get an extra side in here. So I actually I'm going to show 2 sides. What I would have had before, the way I had drawn it, was just really one. And so I have to draw at least 5 shapes, and I think I want to do one that has like an interesting cutout on it, right? And I want it to maybe not be totally square. So I'm going to show you what it means to draw these parallel lines to match your lines. So I do want you to get a pretty good view. So I'm going to try to do maybe more than 5 shapes just because I think I'm going to do a circle. Maybe that circle will feel, maybe I'll make it a little smaller so it feels like it almost fell out of there or could fit in there, just because. Sometimes I think those little tricks make people think. And so I've got 5. Maybe I can put I'll try to do a more difficult shape maybe, or maybe not. Maybe let's not do something too hard. I like to keep the corners actually, and so that helps. Ooh, I know what I could do. I could probably do a trapezoid. I think that would be fun. Okay, now I have 6, and maybe I'm going to just do 7. That's 2 more than you're required to do, but this will give you some opportunities to see how I do this multiple times when you're watching my drawing. And that is sort of what I'm looking for. How about in another triangle? This one, maybe like that. Okay, that should be enough. Now, the circle I'm going to leave for last because curved things are tricky when you're doing perspective. So they are pretty tricky. So let's start with something that only has 3 sides. So I focus on corners, and everything is going to go to my vanishing point. So every line I draw is going to go to my vanishing point. No matter where I'm starting on this page, it's all going to start and end here. And I'm drawing these lines really lightly because eventually I'm going to erase most of the line. So I go from each corner, I draw my lines. Now once I've done this, and the shape extends all the way back like that first one, I'm going to say, okay, so here's my line from this corner to this corner. Here's my line. I need to draw another line that is parallel. And just like we've matched up, our lines, you know, our straight edge to the edge of the paper, just like we've been doing this all this time, I'm going to draw a line that is parallel and it matches all the way down. So the distance between this line at the top is the same as it is at the bottom. So that line shouldn't, and this actually looks like maybe I didn't even do it quite straight. That's a little bit better. So now once I've done this, once I've gotten that part, now I erase the rest of the lines. You know, I can erase this line all the way to the vanishing point. I'm not going to erase this one yet because I have yet to draw this line. So here's this side. Well, obviously this side is going to match up. So I start here at this point, and now I'm going to draw a line that matches this one so that I can make this side. Now, if you look at this, you can see that my shape is complete. I have a 3-dimensional figure. And so I can erase these. I'm not going to erase my vanishing point, but I can erase the lines that draw all the way into it. So I can get rid of these. They're not necessary anymore. And so there we are. Now the next one I'm going to do, I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to do the square next to show you. So now these lines went this way. This line from this corner right here is going to go it feels like a much different direction. Again, this one is going to also be drawn to that vanishing point, and this one is going to be drawn to that vanishing point. I do have another corner down here, but if I draw it to the vanishing point, that's going to make, this is not going to be a solid shape. And I want it to appear like a solid shape. So drawing this one, I would have to erase the whole thing since everything will be connected. This shape, I'll make it a little bit thicker. I'm going to make a line. Now I don't want to make the line like this because I want it to sort of feel like it's square. So here I measure, I try to draw this line, and it's tricky. This is not easy to draw because it's an illusion of sorts. So I try to draw it as straight as I can. One way to know if you did it straight would be to measure the distance of the line right here, and then to see if that distance remains consistent all the way over to here. And it pretty much does, so that's pretty good. Now this is the side that I'm going to do, and I have to do it from right here. I can't just draw a line here because that doesn't match up to that side, and this side has to match up all the way along this corner to this side. So I'm going to draw this one and try to follow this line. Now once I've done that, I have my whole shape, and I can erase the rest of this line going toward the vanishing point. I don't need any of this extra line. Okay? Now you may have this problem, I'm not sure you will, but when I draw my line for this shape, it's going to go right through this. I can see it already. It's going to go right through this shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm just not going to draw right over there, and I'm actually going to line this up and really only draw it maybe this far because I'm not going to draw the entire shape anyway. Now this corner, I'm also going to draw. This one I can draw all the way. A little more to erase. Maybe some of you are saying to yourself, oh, if she could just draw it part of the way all the time, why doesn't she just do that? For me, I think, I don't know. I like to see that whole shape. It somehow is a little easier for me to find the parallel. So this is the easy line to copy. It kind of goes out like this. So I want my line to go out a little bit like that. So I'm going to draw that line in. Now here's the tricky one. I want to draw a parallel line to this curved line. And that could be pretty tricky. So I don't know. I'm going to do my best to try to follow that line. How do you think I did? Well, we'll know more if I erase all of these lines. It'll look a little more like this line is, like this shape is standing on its own. And there you go. That one looks pretty good. Okay, what do you say we just try the circle? Let's just do the circle. Okay, it's kind of fun, kind of tricky, kind of fun. But we just did this curve, so actually I don't think I did that curve really well, but actually I could have done it a little better now that I look at it. So let's see, maybe I'm going to just, it can't go into that shape because this shape is supposed to be in front of, but I think that actually even looks better. Maybe you don't see it, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you see something different. That's okay too. So we're going to try this circle. So here's it's easy in one sense and hard in the other because those curves are tricky. So I'm going to match up, since there are no corners on the circle, I'm going to match up this point to the edge of the circle, and I'm going to draw my line toward it. I'm going to draw my line, I'm going to match this up to the edge of the circle as it is when I'm lined up. So you need to start this way. You need to start with your pencil here. You can't start with it just at the edge because you're going to struggle to find the edge and that shape. So you're going to go like this and draw to the edge. Now once you've made it to that edge, you're going to end up, I just want to make this a little more seamless. Now I have to draw a line parallel to this, and this is really tricky. So I want to make it parallel, which means I don't want it to really, I want it to copy this line the best I can. Okay, and then just like that, I erase this line, and there I have a cylinder that's extending back in space. So we have these sort of space or sky, I call them sky shapes because they're kind of, they look like they're floating. None of them really look like they're anywhere in space or anywhere on the ground. So let's do this one next. I'm going to take this one and I'm going to connect this corner here. And again, you probably don't have to go all the way out here, but I think I get a better view of the shape when I do. And then I have to make my line. It helps to actually draw this over on my own. Now to get to this line, so sometimes this can help too, to use this straight edge. You can see that that's crooked. That's crooked. But this gives us sort of a good feeling right here. Okay, and now we've got this one completed. We just have two more. Once we have two more, we're really close. Now the trapezoid is pretty fun because I drew it in a way that sort of optimizes seeing all of the sides. Notice that I'm trying to be pretty efficient with my time and your time. Now I don't really have much on this side, but there is a little bit. If I draw this a little bit in, I can actually get a little more of a side here. I'm going to just do these two over again. And again, the very nice thing about pencil is that you have that liberty. Okay, there we've got a little more of a side here. So in this figure we have four sides, which is, I mean, four sides that we can see total. Okay, and now this line is the same one that I'm going to copy. And then this one will copy this line because it's on the same side. And this line will copy this one. So when I'm done, I'm going to erase. And one more. At this point, once I'm done with this shape, I'm not going to need my, again, keep it parallel. I'm not going to need my meets here, so I start here and I go down just like that. There we go. I'm not going to need my vanishing point at this point anymore, so I can just erase this whole thing. And I'm going to start to color. So each shape, I think I can do a different color. they're going to look like they're floating. So I think I'm going to make this background here a sky. I think you could probably make it darker even. You could make it a night sky. You could do what I said, what we did last time, and put a horizon line in here and still make them floating, but maybe you could make a couple shadows on the ground or some more shadows. I don't know what you want to do exactly, but this gives you a nice feeling of something floating. I'm not going to put a horizontal line or a horizon line in this picture because I'm going to actually imagine them floating up in the sky, and maybe I'm looking straight up in the sky, so maybe there'll be some clouds or something in there, but I definitely am not going to do that. So I'm going to start coloring them, and maybe I'll color this one first. So I'm just going to color and do a nice, this is not a sharp tip color, but it's as close as we're going to get right now. I'm going to do some cross hatching to get the tone a little even. So I'm going to come back in here and cross hatch over this so that I can get an even tone. And here too, cross hatch. And then I'm going to make this side a little lighter. In fact, and I'm going to color it with the line coloring. So the darkest side is always going to be the one facing me in this drawing. So I'm going to darken this one up even more. Now, even though it is not perfect. This one looks pretty nice. So again, this will be the darkest side, this will be the darkest side, this will be the darkest side, this one, and this one, and this one. So the ones facing me, closest to me, will be the darkest side. And I'm going to do a little sharpening of my pencil because I'm going to do some, especially when you get to these angular, more angular shapes, you want to be able to get in those corners. So maybe I'll just do this one. And then I'll fast forward it for you so that you can see me color all of them. You're not going to need to see me color all of them. I think that would be kind of superfluous or extra. But it will definitely help you to see me color at least two. Now for something like a square or even the trapezoid, you're going to want to know where your light source is coming from. It has to be behind these shapes because this is the darkest side, which means that the light is coming sort of from behind, but it could also be above here, could be down here, could be evenly split, could be right here and shining pretty evenly. So, well, I don't think I'm going to draw a sun there, so I'll have to think about that later. But I'm drawing this side lighter, at least for the time being. And this side lighter, at least for the time being. Okay, so I'm going to speed this up. Okay, so now I'm going to take a sky blue and I'm going to do, remember what we called our pencil shavings, right? So I'm going to take my pencil shavings and I'm going to, first of all, make sure that this is pretty clear and clean of any other colors. And I'm going to start shaving the pencil. And in the beginning, I get a lot of the wood, but then as you can see, I start to get a lot more of that blue, pencil stuff. Now I don't want to get that really on any of my other shapes, but I'm going to keep shaving. Take off some of that. A little more of that. I'm going to spread it around a little bit. Maybe one more. When you do it at the very end, you know, when that tip is really sharp, you get some really nice fine dust too. I'm going to put some of that down here. And now I can either just come in with my finger, or sometimes I like to take a Kleenex or just a little piece of, you know, paper towel. And I like to come in and really softly start to rub it around. And I'm going to be really careful not to rub it around my shapes too closely so that I'm not getting it in there too much. But here I'm going to get it nicely. So there we are. We have all of our shapes. They're sort of floating in space. I think if you really wanted to, you could probably erase some clouds in here, but that might be a little difficult. I don't know. You could, anyway, you could change the sort of, you could give it a little bit of a cloudy feel maybe by just coming in with an eraser and